Please subscribe, like, and comment.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling something, well, pretty fundamental: how we define success.
Right, because for so many of us, that word immediately brings up, money, career ladders, maybe getting noticed.
Exactly. It feels like we're almost conditioned to tie our worth to those external things, always chasing the next goal.
It's a really strong current, isn't it? This idea that what we do defines our value. But what if we just, hit pause on that?
What if there's another way to look at a life well lived?
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what we're getting into today. We've been reading The Secret of Success by Mark Montilla. It's very personal, quite reflective.
Yeah, it's not your typical how-to guide at all. It's more of an exploration, really, a different take on what success could mean.
So our mission here, for you, the learner, is to unpack Montilla's key ideas. We want to explore this idea of finding value beyond the usual stuff and hopefully offer some perspectives for a more fulfilling life.
Okay, so Montilla starts by looking back at his own experiences, feeling that pressure to achieve.
Yeah, he talks about that initial feeling, almost like needing to justify being here through accomplishments.
It's super relatable, that voice, internal or external, saying you only matter if you hit certain marks. He mentions things like grades, money, looks, awards.
The usual suspects.
Yeah.
This widespread idea that our worth is kind of conditional on these outward signs.
Totally caught in that loop of seeking approval, those visible markers. I think most people can connect with that on some level.
But then he describes this really important shift in his thinking, a change that came from, well, just watching the people he cared about.
And the contrast he points out is fascinating. He realized the people who meant the most to him weren't necessarily the ones with the longest list of achievements.
Right. Their value was something else entirely.
It was about how they made others feel, seen, heard, loved without needing to earn it. That's a huge departure from that first mindset.
Absolutely. So based on that, Montilla starts building this alternative definition of success, more about connection, inner qualities.
Exactly. He puts forward these simple but profound ideas. Success is loving deeply, living honestly, being trustworthy.
Stuff you can't really put on a resume, can you?
Yeah.
But it speaks volumes about who you are.
Mm-hmm. And he also mentions just being present for people when they're going through tough times, even if you don't have the answers.
That really rings true, doesn't it? Sometimes just showing up is the most important thing.
It really is. It's less about fixing things, more about just being a steady presence.
Yeah.
And then there's the story about his grandmother.
Oh, that was incredibly moving.
Yeah, her legacy wasn't about fame or anything like that. It was this legacy of love and strength she passed on.
It definitely makes you pause and think about what impact really lasts.
Which leads to this really provocative question he asks. What if success is measured by how much you're missed? Not for the things you built, but for the person you were. The world feeling a bit dimmer because you're not in it.
Wow. That's a powerful reframe. Shifting from the tangible to the intangible, relationships, feelings, just essence.
Yeah. And that connects directly to his next idea about the silent impact.
Right, this idea that the biggest impacts often aren't the ones we celebrate publicly.
He talks about those quiet, often unnoticed moments.
Like a teacher's encouragement, a kind word from a neighbor, even just a stranger's smile, these everyday things.
And what's key here is the power he sees in the ordinary. A listening ear, paying genuine attention, he says, these small acts are never truly small in their effect.
Makes you wonder, doesn't it? How often we might make a difference without even realizing it.
Totally. And this concept of needing more ordinary heroes, it's compelling, recognizing the value in those quiet, personal ways of contributing.
Now, he also digs into that feeling of having to earn love. I think that's something a lot of us grapple with, right?
This belief that we need to be a certain way, achieve certain things, to be worthy of love and belonging.
But he really pushes back against that.
Yeah, he argues that real love, the kind that sustains us, doesn't have conditions. It accepts the whole package, the messy, honest, vulnerable self, as he puts it.
His examples are so human. A friend's big laugh, a mother's hug, a partner's forgiveness. None of that is based on performance.
Exactly. It's about connection, grace, choosing each other. And the core message, the really powerful takeaway, is that you are loved just because you exist, period. No achievements required.
That's incredibly freeing, actually. And it ties into another feeling he addresses, this sense of being insignificant, replaceable. He calls it the myth of replacement.
Yeah, feeling like just another number, especially online or in big crowds. Like, your absence wouldn't even register.
But he counters that by asking us to think about when someone we love is gone, that irreplaceable void.
It's a great point. A person's unique spirit, their quirks, their way of being. You just can't duplicate that. And he speaks directly to you, the learner, here.
Yes, that line. You, with your weird jokes and stubborn heart and tired eyes and relentless hope, are not replaceable.
Yeah.
That really lands.
It's such a strong affirmation of individual worth.
And a reminder that even the small ways we affect others, maybe unknowingly, make us matter. Irreplaceable. Okay, let's talk legacy. Traditionally, legacy meant like big public things, right? Statues, history books.
Montilla definitely challenges that. He shifts the focus away from those grand external markers.
Towards the quieter, more personal impact on individuals.
Exactly. He gives examples like boosting a child's belief in themselves, giving a friend courage, making someone feel less alone. These are the unseen ripples.
That phrase he uses, fingerprints left on hearts, that's beautiful. It captures that invisible but lasting effect perfectly.
It suggests a rich life isn't about monuments, but about leaving people behind who feel stronger or kinder or more hopeful just because you were there.
It feels much more human. And that brings us to living a life that matters. He admits there was fear in letting go of the traditional success track.
Oh yeah, the fear of irrelevance, losing ambition, maybe regret. That's real when you think about stepping off that path.
But what he found instead was something deeper, richer.
He describes finding it in meaningful moments, connections, long talks, sharing food, noticing nature, handwritten notes, real joy.
It's about building a life from those small, sacred moments, not just the big milestones.
Right, and he points to the qualities of people who live like that.
The ones who dig deepest, love hardest, stay longest, show up consistently. It's about that commitment to being real, being present.
And all of this kind of builds to his central message, the real core of it all. You are already enough.
It sounds so simple, but it's incredibly hard for many of us to really internalize, isn't it?
Definitely. He's reassuring us that we don't need to be different or achieve more to have value.
Your worth isn't tied to what you do next.
It's inherent in just being, in loving, in trying.
And he acknowledges life has ups and downs, good days, hard days.
But underscores that your fundamental worth doesn't change. It's constant.
So really, Montilla offers a significant shift. It's moving away from looking outside for validation.
From that endless chase for conventional success.
And turning inward, recognizing value in just being, in loving, in showing up as you are. So for you, the learner, the big takeaway from this deep dive into Montilla is you already have worth right now. True success, maybe, lies in connection, in kindness.
Which leaves us with something to think about. Maybe consider one small, maybe even invisible act of kindness you could do today. Think about how that might ripple out in ways you'll probably never even know.
And perhaps take a moment to reflect. What truly makes life feel rich and meaningful for you? Forget the scoreboards, what really matters.
Please subscribe, like, and comment.